Ladies and gentlemen, everything in between and up above, welcome to the second installment of the in-depth analysis of The Last of Us. As I am apparently incapable of keeping things brief, I had to split the story section of the series into two videos, the second of which you're watching right now. So, let's pick up right where we left off, and as always, spoilers ahoy! The story resumes an unspecified number of months after Henry's suicide. We're never given an exact time frame, but what we do know is that it is now fall and Joel and Ellie have made it to Wyoming, the place where Tommy is supposedly located. Whilst trying to pass through a hydroelectric power plant, they run into a group of people who seem a bit reserved. But things aren't quite as bad as they seem.
You're all right.
But you know these people?
Know him. He's my goddamn brother.
Tommy.
Holy shit.
How you doing, baby brother?
Goddamn.
Yeah.
This is Maria. Be nice to her. She sort of runs things around here.
Ma'am, thanks for not blowing my head off.
Would have been embarrassing, considering you're my brother-in-law.
We all gotta get wrangled up at some point.
Ellie, right?
Yeah.
What brings you through here?
That's kind of a long story.
Why don't we bring him inside?
Yeah. You hungry?
Starving.
Tommy shows Joel around the facility, and it turns out that this is probably the closest thing you can find to a working society in this post-apocalyptic hell. They got walls, shelter, weapons, horses, crops, power. Pretty much everything you're gonna need to sustain a population. Once they get some solitude, Joel tells Tommy about Ellie and her immunity.
Come on.
I know I've seen her breathe enough spores to take down a dozen men. And nothing. Now, I wouldn't have believed it neither. But I can show you. I was supposed to deliver to the Fireflies. The way I figure they're your boys. You finish the job, you collect the whole damn payment.
I haven't seen a Firefly in years.
You know where they are.
What makes you think I'd do this for you?
This isn't for me, Tommy. This is for your damn cause.
My cause is my family now. You ain't talking about some walk in the park here.
Jesus, boy. Have Maria get some of your born-again friends to do it.
They got families too.
Tommy, I need this.
You want some gear? Sure. But I ain't taking that girl off your hands.
I bring you the cure from mankind, and you want to play the pissy little brother.
We ain't back in Boston. You lay your hands on me again, it won't end well for you.
Before the two brothers can finish, the base is attacked by hunters. Joel and Tommy fight their way through the bandits to ensure that Maria and Ellie are safe, which they thankfully are. After further discussing the topic of taking Ellie off Joel's hands, Maria and Tommy reluctantly agree. However, Ellie has overheard the conversation and has taken one of the horses and ridden off into the forest. Joel and Tommy set off after her and eventually locate her in an abandoned ranch not far from the dam.
Get up. We're leaving. Come on.
And if I say no?
Do you even realize what your life means? Huh? Running off like that, putting yourself at risk? It's pretty goddamn stupid.
Well, I guess we're both disappointed with each other then.
What do you want from me?
Admit that you wanted to get rid of me the whole time.
Tommy knows this area.
Oh,
better
fuck
than...
that.
Well, I'm sorry. I trust him better than I trust myself.
Stop with the bullshit. What are you so afraid of? That I'm gonna end up like Sam? I can't get infected. I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
Well, we seem to be doing all right so far.
And now you'll be doing even better with Tommy.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel. But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad. And we are going our separate ways.
Get it together. We're not alone.
After fighting off the bandits and making it back to Tommy's town, Joel decides that, in the end, it's gotta be him and Ellie, and that he should be the one to see her to the Fireflies. So he asks Tommy for the location of their lab, which he gets, and so Joel and Ellie set off once again. This time they head for the University of Eastern Colorado, where the lab is supposedly located. Sometime later, the duo arrive at the university. After navigating the desolated campus, they finally make it to the laboratory. Turns out that even though this was a Firefly lab, they have now moved to Salt Lake City and set up shop at St. Mary's Hospital. It would seem that they have a new destination, however Salt Lake City is pretty far off and winter is coming, so getting there is gonna be, well, rough to say the least. Before they can formulate a proper plan, some more bandits show up, forcing them to escape. During their escape attempt, Joel is severely injured as he falls off a ledge and lands on a rod made of reinforced iron. With Ellie's help, he barely makes it out of the hospital and onto their horse, but he's too weak to even hold onto the reins, and as the snow starts falling, Joel falls to the ground seemingly lifeless. With Joel's fate uncertain, the game moves from fall to winter. As the winter chapter starts, we see Ellie out on her own in the wilderness hunting. As she's stalking a buck, her prey for the moment, she comes across the remains of what looks like an old lumber mill. Here, she runs into two gentlemen, one identifying himself as David and the other one, James. They claim to be from a group filled with women and children, and that they would dearly like to trade the buck that Ellie just felled for any supplies that she might need. Ellie says that she needs medicine, or more specifically antibiotics. If they can bring her that, the buck will be all theirs. James takes off to go fetch the medicine, leaving Ellie and David to wait. Whilst waiting, they are ambushed by a horde of the infected. It's a desperate struggle, even coming into contact with bloaters, but they somehow manage to survive. Whilst having a breather after the battle, David reveals more to her about his group.
A few weeks back, I sent a group of men out to a nearby town to look for food. Only a few came back. They said that the others had been slaughtered by a crazy man. And get this, he's a crazy man traveling with a little girl. You see, everything happens for a reason. James, lower the gun.
No way, David. I'm not gonna let her go.
Lower the gun. Now give her the medicine.
The others won't be happy about this.
Yeah, well, that's not your concern. You won't survive long out there. I can protect you.
Oh, thanks.
Ellie heads off to a house in a nearby town, where we see that Joel is still alive, but he's still in a bad way. With antibiotics, however, he might be able to recover faster. Before long though, some people from David's group show up in order to try to find Ellie. Ellie tries to make a run for it, in order to lead them away from Joel. And while she does manage to get away, unfortunately the horse is killed and Ellie is eventually captured by David himself. Turns out there are more unflattering sides to this group than David first revealed. For starters, in their desperation they seem to have developed a taste for what they in Archer referred to as long pig, also known as human flesh. Still, David does make a concerted effort to try to get Ellie to join his side. Ellie, however, is a tough nut to crack, even going as far as to feign vulnerability in order to get an opportunity to not only steal the keys but also break one of David's fingers. After this, David takes a less than charitable tone.
How did you put it? Tiny pieces. See you in the morning, Ellie.
Back in the cabin, Joel wakes up, and even though he's not fully recovered, he's still strong enough to actually get around, and, more importantly, fight. He manages to capture 2 stragglers and, at lack of a better term, tortures them brutally in order to learn of Ellie's location. Satisfied with the information he's gotten, he kills them both and sets off to find Ellie. Elsewhere, as James and David are about to have her killed, Ellie escapes. She makes her way through the town, but as she's trying to pass through an abandoned restaurant, David shows up yet again. He not only locks the door, but he also sets the building on fire, setting the stage for a final showdown between him and Ellie. Even though she manages to outsmart him, she's still at a constant disadvantage, but after a long struggle she finally finds an opening and uses it to end David once and for all. And it is at this moment that she's finally reunited with Joel. And you can tell that they both feel that they are closer to each other than they've ever been. Ellie embraces him for comfort, and Joel even calls her baby girl, something that he has not called anyone since Sarah died. With David dead and the restaurant in flames, they finally set off towards Salt Lake City yet again. And as they do, the game passes from winter to spring. At long last, nearly 6 months after they first set out, Joel and Ellie finally arrive in Salt Lake City. However, the events of the winter has changed Ellie. She seems more quiet, reserved, and, above all, distant. Her spirit is somewhat lifted though when they run into something as odd as, well, a herd of giraffes. I'll be discussing the giraffes in a later episode. As they get ever closer to their destination, they're forced to take a pathway through the sewers. As they try to cross a strong current, everything goes to hell when the bus they intended to use as a bridge gives way. This not only results in Ellie falling into the water, she still hasn't learned how to swim, but she also gets knocked unconscious and nearly drowns. Joel manages to drag her out of the water and starts giving her CPR, however, at this point some fireflies show up. They are apparently working on a punch first ask questions later policy, as they knock out Joel before even establishing why he's there and why Ellie's with him. Joel wakes up in the hospital with Marlene by his side. She tells him that Ellie is still sleeping, but she is safe. Joel asks to see her, but she tells him that that can't be done because she's being prepped for surgery. Apparently the fungus within her has mutated, which has resulted in her immunity. Once they extract it, they will be able to use it to reverse engineer a vaccine. Joel points out that the fungus grows all over the brain. Marlene acknowledges that it does, along with the implication that Ellie will not survive the surgery. Angered and visibly shocked, Joel tells her that they must find someone else. To which Marlene replies that there is no one else, and that this is the only way. She tells him that this is probably harder for her than it is for him. She made a promise to Ellie's mother that she would raise her, and she has done, and now she's sending her to her death. She tells him that it's not easy, but it is the right thing to do. Joel, however, ain't buying it. When Marlene notices his hostile tendencies, she tells the guard to see him out. She leaves to attend other matters, leaving Joel alone with the security guard. Unwilling to accept Ellie's fate, Joel kills the guard, but not before extracting the information of where the operating room is located. Joel makes his way through the hospital, killing and evading heavily armed fireflies along the way. He arrives at the operating room just as the operation is about to start.
Sweet Jesus.
Doctor?
What are you doing in here? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Don't come any closer. I mean it.
No! Fucking animal!
Carrie, shut the hell up.
Come on, baby girl. I got you. I got you. Oh, shit.
With Ellie in his arms, Joel dashes through the hallways of the hospital, pursued by every single firefly in the building. He manages to reach the elevator, which he uses to get into the garage. From here, he intends to take a car to drive him and Ellie back to Wyoming, to Tommy's place. In the garage, he's confronted by Marlene. She tells him that even if Ellie manages to get out, what kind of life awaits her on the outside? Supposing she doesn't get raped and murdered first. She tells him that this is what she would have wanted. She even surrenders her weapon, saying that he can still do the right thing. Joel responds by shooting her. He places Ellie in the backseat of a car and goes back to finish off Marlene.
Wait! Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
When Ellie wakes up, she asks him what actually happened. He tells her that there are several other immune people like her, dozens even, and that they haven't been able to extract any sort of cure from them either. He even goes as far as to say that they've stopped looking for a vaccine entirely. And then he says he's sorry. Whether he's sorry because they couldn't find a cure, or because he lied to her, is left unsaid. Eventually, they get back to Tommy's place. Before making the final approach, Ellie confesses that when she got bitten, she wasn't alone. She had a friend with her, and they intended to sit there and lose their minds together, but Ellie is still waiting for her turn. She says that she was the first to die.
And then it was Tess. And then Sam.
None of that is on you.
Oh, you don't understand.
I struggled for a long time with surviving. And you... no matter what, you keep finding something to fight for. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear right now.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
Thank you for watching the second part of my in-depth analysis of The Last of Us. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this little recap, because next time we're gonna start the actual discussion and analysis. We'll start by analyzing the story as a whole, and highlight the aspects of it that work and the ones that don't. If you have any comments or suggestions on how to improve the general quality of my videos, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if you've enjoyed the series so far and hope to see more, I sincerely recommend you to hit the subscribe button. Now go out there and breathe the spore-free air. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to catch you later.